Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast from Born Without Boundaries. You're watching this on Astrology Motivation, so please subscribe to the channel and then click that bell. Ring it so you set it to all notifications so you know when I upload your favorite content. Here I upload weekly astrology forecasts, daily tarot card readings, and pick-a cards. Guys, I love you. And next week is a huge week. It's huge, but it's subtle, so most people are going to fucking miss it. But not you people, because you are engaged and curious. So good on you for that, man, because most people just won't get it. But I've named this video Rectifying the Duality because the North Node and Lilith are both in Gemini. And Gemini is the sign that contends every day with duality. And the bridge, the blind spot that is the challenge of duality. Of all dualistic natures, the blind spot between the two is the biggest challenge. The greatest challenge between the yin and the yang is to see the bits of each other that are in one another. The biggest challenge between diametric opposites is for people to see that they're actually part of the same whole when you think you're in complete isolation from each other. Totally not the case, right? So this is the challenge, and this is actually what we're kind of confronting all in this realm of Uranus and Taurus, where there are changes being made, so many changes. We want to make so many changes, but we're really changing things based on what already is, not what could be. You know, we're trying to move around matter instead of spirit. And not really move around spirit, but move ourselves, let ourselves be moved by spirit. That's the better way to put it. So this week is really going to ask us to confront those aspects of ourselves that I don't know how to really phrase it. It's like the things we think we're doing right. But are we? Right? And I don't think it's just to challenge us to mess with us. I think it's to make us see how duality is essential for our growth. It kind of is our growth. It's when we've grown so big, we've completely almost divided into two. It's almost like asexual reproduction. You just grow so big that you split into two. So think of the twin flame concept. This concept of the dualistic nature of one soul being put and played out in two separate bodies in the physical world so we can see the physicalization of the duality and of the dependence upon each other. Now, why does the soul do that? If you believe in twin flames or not, it doesn't matter because this is a conceptual conversation. Why would a soul that's so big not decide to just evolve and become one with source and go on to nirvana? Because it wants to continue to learn. Expansion is necessary, right? So it goes back to learn more. What I'm saying that this means for the climate that we're in right now is simply this. We are learning. And we are learning through the outwardly apparent ridiculousness of duality, of how stupid it is, of how ignorant people sound when they're just so completely polarized, right? They sound like fucking idiots. But that's the point. It's almost a lesson in what not to do to show you or force you to choose to not be that way. And I think that's where we're turning the tide now. In the season of Scorpio, it's a perfect time when we've become so polarized that now it's just not even popular or cute, right? And we're starting to come back together to not a neutral zone, a balanced zone, a realization that we need each other. And that just, plastering makeup on something or putting different clothes on something hasn't really changed its nature, has it? To accept the base nature of something is really scary business. And it's especially scary when it's completely and totally different from your base nature, at least you think, right? This is our challenge this week, to grow, not out of, but encouraged by, to allow the kind of idiocy that is polarization to make us grow wiser, to make us grow smarter, to make us grow more illuminated. Because there's no greater confines than the confines of duality. Because duality makes you place so much focus and attention on the two extremes that you don't place enough attention on the in-between. But in doing so, the in-between almost becomes a place of relaxation and comfort. And in reality, the in-between is the more difficult zone, which is why people gravitate away from it, right? Because it's very challenging day by day to work on that balanced zone. It's very challenging. You have to engage every single day. And the only way you're going to be encouraged to engage every single day is if you've been presented with the alternative. And we have, haven't we? For the past even 3 years. We've been presented with the alternative of just how fucking idiotic living in a polarized mentality is. It's just lunacy. And so we need to see it and experience it. That's who we are as 3D beasts. We need to see it and experience it play out. And that's kind of what the twin flame concept is. It's forcing this duality to see it, feel it, five sense it, to see it play out and understand why being one is so much better than being two separate things. We are divided here. We're divided into masculine. We're divided into feminine. That's our challenge. Our challenge is to find the bits and pieces of one and the other. Our challenge is to find the connectivity. Our challenge is to work with each other instead of isolate from each other. And all of this is things that Gemini energy teaches us. And Lilith and Gemini would definitely be challenging us with. That blind spot of duality that makes all of us so afraid. But what should we be more afraid of? How stupid we look polarized, right? Let's get into the day-by-day, play-by-play. That's what you can expect from this video. Video is a day-by-day breakdown of the energies based on the astrological aspects that are happening each day. And then after each breakdown, I'll go into, I provide a mantra to help you actively participate in the energy and focus the energy in a positive, a progressive way. So we start off with Sunday, November 14th. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars are still teaming up in Scorpio, insisting on all our cardinal desires and somehow being clever enough to justify it. It's like, listen, you're at the pinnacle of cleverness when Mercury and the Sun are there. But the fact that Mars is there too, it's just like the level of badass that you can't really reproduce that shit. This is like confidence extraordinaire, right? Well, not when Uranus is in opposition to the motherfuckers. But here we go. We're putting all our hard-learned lessons to use at the nearest opportunity. It doesn't matter who or what it is. It's a chance to show we've changed. But have we really, if we're allowing circumstances to back us into corners? Saturn is square Mercury and Mars, and Mercury and Mars are opposed to Uranus. So it's almost like that time in your teenage life when you're like, fuck yeah, I'm a badass, I know everything. And your dad and your grandpa come along and be like, no, you don't. You have this to do, 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 you have this to do. You know, or when you think, yeah, going off on my own, it's so cool. And then you realize, oh, rent to pay. Oh, I don't want to eat SpaghettiOs every fucking night. I better get a better job. Oh, I have to pay the electric, or I'm going to freeze through the winter. It's that kind of energy, that sense of, yeah, I think freedom is so cool, without understanding the gravity and responsibility attached to it. Because it's only cool when it's easy. Oh yeah, I want to be with that person. I want to be with that person so bad. And then you are with that person and they're not a fantasy anymore. No matter how beautiful they are or how much money they have, they're still just a fucking human that shits and pisses just like you, and all shit stinks. We all fart out of the same asshole. Even if we're a fucking supermodel. So ultimately, that's the kind of grounding aspect of Saturn is, this is the humanity of it. These are the limitations of it. Does it still look so cool? And it's not. And that's what's frustrating. Let me get it back into this. Saturn is square Mercury and Mars, and Mercury and Mars are opposed to Uranus. This could make us feel like we're spinning our wheels because we have all this energy that we're ready to use, but we keep getting setbacks with more work and more responsibilities. Venus wants us to jump right in where her genitals are leading her because she's real hot to trot right now. She wants it all. I mean, look it. She's like, I think it's like sextile or trying to, I think it's sextile to Mars. Mars is in fucking Scorpio and Venus is sextile to him. You could capitalize the sex, baby. You know, but that's what we're making decisions with now. Our fucking genitals. And we're trying to say, with the cleverness of everything else that's going on, oh yeah, I'm doing it for all the right reasons. This is like, yeah, man, yeah. Rebellion for rebellion's sake is just fucking idiocy. Venus wants it all right now. She wants to lock it in and she wants to own it. She's in Capricorn right now. But the gods have a different idea in mind for us. So this is a very frustrating time when we are denied what we desire the most. And we're being denied it by ourselves and our own bullshit. What is becoming clear now, with all these setbacks, blocks, and oppositions, is what our hearts really want. We get so caught up in base desires and egotistical expectations, we've lost track of what makes our hearts sing. And that will make you cry today. Think of having the best sex ever and feeling empty inside. Because it turns out 18 orgasms in an hour doesn't fill you. It doesn't. As much as we try to pretend it does. It feels good, but it's over. What's after that? Is that what we wanted? Is that what we were after? To see it again, to get back in touch with what makes you smile on the inside, our dreams and our true north, will only be denied what isn't for our best. Today is ultimately a time of redirection. It is also a day of acceptance of our darker sides. Those things we do that we aren't so proud of. It's a day where we'll be able to embrace them in order to begin balancing out what we're pursuing, why we're pursuing it, and those things that we already have that need our continued care. It's a day to see and embrace your foolishness and the foolishness of others as something distinctively and wholly human. If you're acting like an idiot, if you think other people are acting like an idiot, then 10 to 1 you're acting like an idiot too. Because Neptune is really prominent right now in aspect to the sun and I think to Mercury. So it's almost like what we're seeing in others is really a reflection of ourselves right now. Mantra, I allow this conflict rolling inside of me to balance my perception of humanity. The hurt I feel helps me to heal while building compassion, and through opposition, I learn. It's like we're trying to project the conflict inside of us, outside of us, to understand it better. And that makes a lot of sense. It's just also messy. Monday, November 15th. The South Node and the Sun are conjunct. Who have we been? And what have we learned from the time spent being it? How have the experiences of our lives up until now contributed to the decisions we've made about who we are and what we are meant for? The North Node is conjunct Lilith. How far have we traveled toward a deeper acceptance of all that we are, especially those things that are yet undefined, those things that are our responsibility to decide and define, those things that only we can take full responsibility for because they are the result of our choices, not our parents' decisions. We are resolving these issues now, these clashes between the created self, the self that somebody else, yourself that somebody else helped to build, and the self we are creating for ourselves. And the point is to lessen the fear. Forgive those that hurt you or misled you, and you gave the power to forgive yourself. A deeper rendition of who we are is coming to life. It's sort of like a caricature versus the official portrait of somebody. But neither is a photograph, because a photograph's just fucking flatten shit out. That's all I do. We rely way too much on photography to define our likenesses. That's not really, no. It flattens everything out. Those are just tricks of light. What these both are, a caricature and a portrait, are a series of strokes, choices, laid down to form an entire image. One is simple and flat, which is potential, and the other has highlights and shadows and more clearly represents a well-defined understanding of who we are. How have we represented ourselves? Have we done well? You may have painted a beautiful picture, but it looked nothing like you, what you really are, right? That's the illusion. The beauty of a painting is you can always go back in and change what needs to be fixed. We can do that now that we've had this time to look things over, if we're looking them over through self-love, through love and acceptance. Yes, this can pertain to all aspects of your life right now, even your relationships, your job, your goals. What is beautiful now is that we'll have a clearer picture of where we want to head, which direction we want to head in. So our changes will have a surgeon-like precision about them, a practiced hand. Neptune is helping us here. It's trine the Sun and Mercury. We can conceptualize without hindrance and lead ourselves back to a truer reflection of God. Neptune is healing us in this sense, guiding our hand like a master painter. Trust this process. Mantra, I am transformed into pure potential, guided by what I have known. Guided by what I've known, and not confined by it. I fearlessly create what I love. By focusing on what you love. By focusing on it. That's how you create it. You give it energy, you give it attention, it manifests. Instead of focusing on what we hate about ourselves, or even the world around us, or each other. Tuesday, November 16th. Where we may be stalled with real world developments, we are accelerated on our work on ourselves. This is a good time to tune your soul, as in harmonize what feels like clashing tones. The moon in Aries brings a fiery confidence to our psyche that aids in this development. Normally, it's emotionally troublesome. It's supposed to be. The moon in Aries is naturally combative. But in this inverted and very internal context in the sky right now, it almost becomes like the sun or Mars feeding much needed energy into our psyche and the subconscious changes that are taking place. Almost everything now is happening beneath the surface or behind the curtain, which is the perfect place to start when perfecting your craft or skills. It's important. There is certainly more going on than meets the eye now, so trust the vibrations you feel. If you've been very curious in this energy, it is very almost mercurious, right? It's like Mercury is really churning right now. I would not be surprised if you find yourself like reading things, studying things, looking more into articles that you normally wouldn't have taken time to. We want to learn now. We're curious now. It's really illuminating us, right? It's illuminated inside of us right now. There is certainly more going on than meets the eye now, so trust the vibrations you feel. There is certainly more going on than okay. You may not be able to see things, just like you can't see the roots of a seed growing, but you'll feel. And in some cases here, which is really just another form of feeling, it's vibrations those eardrums pick up, and then our brain interprets it as sound. It's feeling. The tuning taking place. Like standing outside a closed stage door, listening to rehearsals going on. You can feel the rumble of the band, but not see the players. Yes, that's right. This is the preparation, the tuning of the self in the underworld, Scorpio. That's where we are. Before we are soon asked to rise through Sagittarius and expand through Sagittarius into the harsh reality of Capricorn. It is the birth of our new soul, new mentality, and all the clashes between the old and new are amalgamating into one. Just a little way to go, and we can feel it coming. Anticipation begins. Mantra, I hear, I feel, I know. I understand through trusting a shift is coming. Changes are being made. I am the change. Wednesday, November 17th. The moon in Taurus is on top of Uranus, two contrasting energies to say the least. One, the moon, is so near a daily reality impacting our oceans so we can see and hear and measure our connection to it. It's been with us every day since forever. We understand it and trust it just as much as we do the sun. Uranus, however, is so distant that without technology and math, we would never even know that it was there. Its very reality is a leap of faith for most of us, not just in science, but in one another. Because, let's face it, most of us are not capable of the kind of science it took to fucking detect Uranus, right? So we're still being dependent upon somebody else to believe, oh, okay, they did the work, we're just going to trust what they say. In the true spirit of Uranus, which is Aquarius, which is how we're connected to each other, the community at large. It forces us to spread ourselves beyond the confines of our sensory reality by trusting the insights of someone else. That's what Uranus does. And in that way, it is a very insistent. Its very purpose is to insist upon empathy. The moon we know, we understand. We measure with our eyes and it shifts and changes, yet it rules all those parts of us that we can't see, our psyche and emotions. It's the key to empathy, a knowing beyond the five senses. And so where these two powers meet is empathy and in extension, compassion. To empathize is to understand through one another, and compassion is to heal through one another. So today, with the moon visiting Uranus and Taurus, we have a very strong sense of the reality of our vibrational connection to and dependency upon one another. This could prove to be very healing and a very forgiving day, providing an opportunity for a deeper and very real understanding of one another. We're shifting into our new normal now, making permanent or at least long-lasting changes to our social circle and our love life. it's really through our romantic relationships that most of how we've evolved, or at least what we've become, if we haven't evolved, is demonstrated. So buckle up, buttercups, because there isn't going to be another exit for a few miles. Just saying. Mantra, I learn. And I am drawn to those experiences that help me expand the most. I release those ideas of and disappointment in those people who decided to go a different way, that in the bigger picture, it was necessary. They're going a different way, not only to expand their knowledge, but also to expand yours, because now their experiences are part of the collective consciousness, and you have a conduit into that. You're connected to that. Thursday, November 18th. Reading the Cliff Notes does not make you an expert on something. Neither does a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, for that matter, because all those people, all those degrees are just different levels of learners. You'd have to have a PhD to have created something new and unique. Beyond that, you have to be a genius to invent something new altogether, to see beyond what already exists, to be on the pinnacle of expansion. That is genius. And perhaps that is Uranus's biggest issue right now. It's in Taurus, so it's trying to change things within the established parameters, which is way too confining and short-minded. Taurus energy isn't that of the inventor. Ultimately, no matter how much we stir the pot or call one another the other or vice versa, we're still just talking about the same shit in a different way. Where's the liberated thought and ideas? They're stifled behind well-educated ignorance and well-applied traditionalism, well-applied knowledge. But remember, knowledge is the vat of what's already been discovered. It's not thought itself. It's the result of thought, result of inquiry. But thought itself has its own power. Knowledge is a thing, thought is an action. So what are we doing right now to encourage thought? Very little. All we're doing right now mostly is encouraging knowledge, which is really just the acceptance and absorption of what's already been discovered. That's pretty much what I'm saying here. And that becomes very, very, very poignantly obvious right now. You know who didn't have a degree in physics? Isaac Newton. You know who didn't have a degree in psychology? Sigmund Freud. See what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. The people taking the lead now, calling themselves the leaders, are really just followers of what has already been done. They're just regurgitating the information in a different form. And the rest of us follow along because it's easier to let someone else make decisions for you. This aspect of ourselves becomes so evident today, and maybe that is the ultimate challenge of Saturn square Mars square Uranus, showing us the horrible limitations our own lack of understanding has put on us. But it is within these moments that the pain of limitation sprouts the roots of true creativity. Necessity is the mother of invention. Neptune trine the sun and Mercury. Mercury is opposite the moon in Taurus, which wants creature comforts that Mercury trine Neptune shirks. Expect a lot of discomfort today because what you were told was right was really stupid as hell. And the security you thought you had is blown out of the water, maybe by someone who really was able to bring pure creation into being. There's nothing more that you want to avoid than to be in the room this close to convincing everybody that, nope, we've got to do it this way because, when that fucking awesome genius comes in the room and says, psh, no, we don't. Here, I found the way. There's going to be a lot of motherfuckers embarrassed because that's the kind of thought process that's going to start popping through. Let yourself dream today, even into those realms where you start to feel uncomfortable. It's what dreams were designed for. to help us understand ourselves better. The truth always needs a way out, and this time it's through dreams and creativity. Mantra, breathe. Connect with your breath and nature today, but do it with your eyes closed so you can focus on the vibrations, the real truth, not what you see. Your eyes were designed to deceive you. That's what they were. Oh, believe me. Your eyes were designed to deceive you. There's so many steps in the vision process. There's so many, it's almost like telephone. It is. It's almost like, the game telephone where you start out with one thing and then it goes to another person and it goes to another person and it always ends up being a completely different message. That's vision. It's not direct at all. It's very representative and very subjective. But we think it's the absolute truth, which is the biggest deception of all. So, don't believe them, right? Who am I really? Why do I believe this? Why do I believe the things I do? And who am I? I open my third eye to see beyond what light shows me. Friday, November 19th rolls around, and I believe this is the full moon. Yeah, it should be the full moon in Taurus. The sun is so close to the south node now, it's time for a house cleaning. What gets in our way or stops us from following our heart? What karma is it time to finally settle? Complete opposite, our moon is in Gemini now, right on top of the north node. We have to contend with our own duality to move forward. The golden rule is simple. Do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. But also, don't expect from others what you don't expect from yourself. Only we do. And we do it constantly. How many of you would leave your house dirty for 2 months straight? But as soon as you got some money, honey, and you paid some housekeeper to do it for you, you're all up there like, there was a speck of dust on that window. I'm paying you for this. You need to take it seriously. You need to take it seriously, dumb bitch. You're the one living there every fucking day. If you're living there every day and when it was your responsibility to clean up the shit, you didn't care until you got the money to have somebody else clean up the shit for you, and now all of a sudden you care, you should have cared when you were living there. That should make you care. The fact that this is your space, you should take pride in it no matter what. It shouldn't be but I paid you for it. You're putting the emphasis on the wrong thing. Really? If you were totally fine with dust before, who cares if somebody you paid missed a speck of dust after? Who cares? A lot of us do. A lot of us are pissed. I could feel you being pissed right now as you listen to me. You got a problem. You got to look at yourself. But also, don't expect from others what you don't expect from yourself. Only we do, and maybe that's how we're built. We need someone else to balance us, even if it's a stranger on the other side of the planet. The challenge of Gemini is to feel connected to what seems completely opposite from you. The wisdom of Sagittarius should have taught us by now, by reaching out to the different, the other, by reaching out to the other, the unknown, and offering it friendship, we expand ourselves. We become larger, we become better people. But that's the South Node, man. That's the South Node. That's where we should have come from, right? Now we're headed toward the North Node to allow what we've learned about the comfort we get in others to help us rectify the duality in ourselves. We need someone else to balance us. Both Mars and Venus are still sextile, and I do mean sextile. And you know what? Sex in some ways is also just our way of trying to connect with somebody. so it's perfect timing. Also in Scorpio, hello, are also aspecting Lilith, the greatest duality of all, the divine masculine and divine feminine. Find the one place they connect. The one place what is the one place the divine masculine and divine feminine connect? Creation. Lilith asks us to embrace the beauty of the dark, the power of love that exists only in the absence of light, right? Light is what is defined. The dark is what is yet to be. That love is creation. It doesn't happen without both. There is so much that we have to admit to ourselves. And instead of trying to change everything on the outside to support our sense of self, we have to let it all crumble and rebuild in the way we want it, strong and honest. What do you want your future to look like, really? The 3D world is not conceptual. It's not. I know everybody wants to make it. What arrives here has already been thought through the concept phase. Today, we bring a concept to life. It hits reality, a birth of creation that came out of pain, fear, heartbreak, and trauma to restructure what is, change what was, and determine what will be in reality. We can't ignore the confines of this world if we wish to build out into it. It would be like trying to design a building by ignoring gravity. Sure, we've built things that defy gravity, but we did not do that by ignoring gravity. We did it by accepting that gravity was a reality and figuring out what to do about it. Today is about finding the answers that work by facing the ugly truths standing between our concepts and our reality. In relationships, this means you accept the truth about someone today, and without fear, make your decisions about your future based on that, not an ideal. We'll learn a lot about ourselves today. Globally, something is being born, something that will eventually be able to make sense of all this nonsense and bring us back together. A focal point, which is usually a prophet of some sort, which is really interesting. Mantra, I am here. Now breathe. I'm that breath. I have changed. I am not what I was a breath ago. This is the moment I focus on today. The small realities that change reality itself. The distance between breaths. Where you really are not the same person anymore. And it starts that small. Saturday, November 20th. Lilith is in Gemini, the sign of duality. Why? Because we have to understand why we break in two. We have to understand why we divide parts of ourselves from each other. What is it that separates us, and how do we relate to what is isolated from us? This is what is healing now. All the splits in society and all those parts of society are teaching us to a great deal about who we are and our beliefs and our capabilities. Those lessons haven't been easy. Now let me talk to you about a little bit. The design of Meta, this whole new Facebook company name, but particularly the virtual reality part of Meta, it's a sad outcome, really. If you don't like reality, escape it. Right? But we can't escape it. Never. Never. What an avatar does will still be as human as you, because it is you. It just looks different, which ultimately isn't very different, which is the trick of the eyes, right? That's all it is. Not a big deal. No big differences, except how something looks, right? Okay. But if you think about it, if everybody in virtual reality can look the way they want to, then in some ways it's actually equalizing us in a way. Because then there will be just all fucking beautiful people, and that will be the norm, right? That will be the norm. And then it'll draw this like equilibrium of, well, now I can only judge people on how they behave, which is what we should have been doing all along. But what the illusion and deception of the visual kind of overpowers. So it's interesting. We're escaping. The people who are going to rush there are the people who want to escape reality, but they're going to eventually be the ones that get the biggest dose of it. The truth of themselves, the truth of their real issues, and the truth of other people. I kind of love that. Okay. So, with Neptune trine Mars and Mercury, we are using our cleverness, like these virtual reality programs, to create an illusion that everyone believes because they want to. They are active participants in the deception. A waking, living dream taking charge of us, but also exposing everything we really are. Just like being drunk, how it's a truth serum. We are most honest when we think we're safe. It's actually kind of ironic. Both Venus and Mercury are aspecting Chiron. We're about to learn from our mistakes of vanity and intellect without responsibility. It'll be fun to watch until it's our turn on stage. Because we're all gonna be put there. Mantra today: in order to understand, I must know nothing. In order to love, I must control nothing. In order to live, I have to accept death. In order to be seen, I have to disappear. Lord, allow me to learn from my own duality. Are you ready for this new version of reality? If you're connected to spirit, you can say yes right away, because not much is going to change for you. I love you guys so much. Please remember to subscribe here on Astrology Motivation, and then also on Born Without Boundaries Tarot, where you'll get 12 new videos every single week, new messages for each of the zodiac signs. Also, if you want to join me for live chats, please find me over on Instagram at born_without_boundaries. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the videos.